Canoopsy here, and the Surface Laptop is a really interesting overall laptop and a great strategic push from Microsoft as well. When I first got this out of the box, I realized one major thing: the Surface Laptop is really the ultimate lure for MacBook owners. Now, it's also really a special breed of MacBook owners as well. People who aren't really fanboys of Apple, people who aren't locked into the ecosystem through hardware or software, like having an iPhone, an iPad, and a Mac, who aren't locked into using specifically Apple software like Final Cut Pro 10 and things that only work on Apple computers. If those MacBook owners or any of those things or all of those things, they're going to be very easily lured into buying a Surface laptop. So let's see if this laptop is really any good and if it's enough to actually convince a MacBook owner to switch. First up, that design. As soon as I got this out of the box, I was instantly impressed. The thinness and lightness at 2.76 pounds for the i5 model, then when I opened it with one hand, which really impressed me more than it should, the overall premiumness of this laptop was totally, fully apparent. The Surface Laptop is just very well built with the aluminum casing, and the Alcantara fabric on the keyboard section is very nice. It feels great when you're typing and adds grip to your palms as well. Longevity is of course a concern with this material, but Microsoft wants you to really treat it well. Some brief Reddit browsing brings up many concerns, valid points, and evidence of what the keyboard could look like after a few months. Two other areas to keep a lookout for are the corners and the sides of the laptop to ensure it doesn't peel up over time or just get damaged. Now, I'm honestly happy that Microsoft actually tried this on a laptop. It does look really cool, and it's a really nice, unique, fashionable touch. But there are of course many concerns with using fabric on a laptop or anything really that you touch every single day. But moving away from that, the keyboard is fantastic. I'm used to the very low key travel on my MacBook Pro, and here, everything about it is excellent. There's some awesome travel and pretty good overall feel. While typing out some of my thoughts for this video, I really enjoyed my overall typing experience. And under the keyboard are some seriously amazing speakers for the size of this laptop. The trackpad here is one of the absolute best I've ever used on a laptop in general, and I much prefer it to my MacBook Pro trackpad, which is this weird virtual touch sort of thing. This just feels natural, and it feels great. A lot of you know me as someone who rarely ever uses a mouse for my work on my laptop, and here, all I use is the trackpad. It was perfectly fine, it's just very responsive, and just the tracking is awesome. Despite all of these really great positives, one major concern with the design is the port situation. You're getting one USB 3 port, a display port, a headphone jack, as well as the proprietary Microsoft magnetic charging port. For a lot of people, the one USB port and lack of an SD card slot won't be enough and may even be deal-breaking. Personally, I prefer the laptop had 3 USB-C ports or Thunderbolt 3 ports, just for that overall flexibility and even the future-proofing that comes along with these new ports. The display is pretty good, 13.5 inches with a resolution of 2256 by 1504. I like the colors and sharpness, but the display is just very glossy, so it picks up a lot of reflection, but viewing angles are quite great. It's also a very responsive touchscreen that's good for basic tapping and interaction, but using a Surface Pen with it, which is possible, isn't great as the display will keep sinking back. The webcam up top is 720p and is actually quite good for a laptop webcam that I've used in the last little while. The video quality here in the Surface Laptop is actually surprisingly good for a laptop webcam, especially compared to the near potato quality here on the MacBook Pro. Under the hood on my unit, I have the dual-core Intel i5, HD graphics 620, 8GB of RAM, and 256GB SSD. Price-wise, this costs $12.99 USD. You can also ditch 4GB of RAM and half the storage for $300 less, or for $300 more for an i7 with better graphics, and $600 on top of that for the top-of-the-line 512GB SSD and 16GB of RAM. So pretty much the lower tier models with the i5 and 4 or 8GB of RAM are good for lighter tasks like light photo editing, internet browsing, emails, and all that sort of office stuff. But make sure you get the model you want because there's no real self-upgrading after the fact. Web browsing, really no problems at all even with a whole bunch of tabs open, and office programs, quite good as well. Photoshop here is definitely fine for some light editing, but if you start playing with a whole bunch of layers, filters, and large files, you may see a bit of delay, especially on the 4GB model, as I did see some delay even on the 8GB model. Gaming with light to medium titles is definitely fine on higher settings, and some games that have a bit more heavy graphics won't be perfectly smooth, but still will be playable. Although if you are buying this for specifically gaming, Don't. The more expensive and top tier models with the better graphics and processor are definitely much better for gaming and light video editing, but the i5 8GB model is kind of the sweet spot in my opinion. It's kind of great for the vast majority of things like the light stuff to the more intensive stuff, but for the very intensive things, look at the i7 models or the Surface Book or just elsewhere. One thing I want to talk about briefly is Windows 10s, so I pretty much upgraded right away to Windows 10 Pro, and the upgrade is very fast and simple. 10s only lets you use apps that are in the Windows Store, so it's incredibly limiting, and 10 Pro is a free upgrade till the end of 2017. And last but definitely not least, battery life. With Windows 10 Pro installed and a whole bunch of mixed daily usage, I got around 8 or 9 hours of total usage with brightness around medium to high. And you can also adjust the balance of performance and best battery life. So for example, if you're just watching videos, switch it to best battery life, and if you're gaming or using Photoshop, put it to best performance. So in summary, the Surface laptop is a really great overall Windows laptop. It has a great overall build both in terms of design and build quality, and even matches up with Apple's MacBook Pros as one of the best built Windows laptops I've really ever used. It has a great keyboard, a great trackpad, great display, great speakers, good performance, and it really costs about the same price as Apple's 12-inch MacBook as well. Okay, so here's the thing. If you're a current MacBook owner looking for a new computer, you're sick of macOS, you're not locked into the whole ecosystem through software, through hardware, through fanboyism, this computer is really a great overall bridge from macOS to Windows 10. Just the overall package and experience you get here are really fantastic. It does have some negatives, of course, like a lack of USB-C, for example, lack of any real variety of ports, and some of the pricing details, but if none of this really matters to you and you can afford the configuration you actually want, you're gonna definitely enjoy this computer. And that's really it for this video. Like it if you liked it, comment down below your thoughts on the Surface laptop, subscribe, and thank you for watching.